What's up, everybody? This is my Married at First Sight review for season 15, episode 1. Let's get into it. This was a 3 hour show. I do not want this to be a 3 hour review. So let's hurry up and get into it. I don't even have time to do my intro. So, anyway, let's start off with Lindy and Miguel. Lindy, 29, Miguel, 35 years old. Okay, so this couple, look, y'all, let me just start off by saying this. I don't want to be a negative Nancy this season. I don't want to be overly critical. I don't want to be overly judgmental. I want to try to keep it as positive, as light, as surface as I possibly can because I refuse to let this show take me on an emotional roller coaster like it's done every single season before this one. Every single season in the beginning, I try to tell myself to be more positive, to not look too deep into things, to not take anything too seriously. This is just all for fun and jokes. And every season, I get caught up in the emotion, I get caught up in the drama. So I need to try extremely hard this season to really not give a damn and just keep it as light and airy and surface as I possibly can. I am not a psychologist, a counselor, a marriage therapist. I am none of that. So I just want to have fun with this show, and I don't want to get too caught up in it. Okay, let's see if I can do it this season. So we start off with Lindy, 29, Miguel, 35 years old. I'm not going to get too deep into the review about who these people are, who their family are, like their upbringing, their childhoods. I'm not going to get too deep into that because I'll be here all night talking about it. So I just want to give my bare bones overall opinion on these couples and what they're all about and what I think of them personally. Okay, so Lindy and Miguel. Lindy seems to be very outspoken. She seems to be like the life of the party. She has a big personality. They match her with this guy, Miguel. Miguel seems like, he reminds me of like a 18th century, 17th century Shakespeare type of poet guy. He writes poetry. He also likes to write short stories. He has a doctorate and a PhD in neuroscience, but he's no longer doing the research end of that. He is a medical writer. To me, that says a whole hell of a lot about him. Like, why aren't you still doing the part? Well, maybe medical writing makes a lot of money, but it seems like you spend a lot of time getting a doctorate in neuroscience. Why would you just want to walk away from that and be a medical writer? So that's like telling me something about him. He seems to be a little bit more reserved, more introspective than Lindy, and I'm not understanding why they matched them. Now, one of the things that kind of irritates me about Married at First Sight, and the reasons why they match people is they match people to try to create a whole person. So if someone is very, very reserved, a homebody, quiet, an introvert, they match them with someone who is very outgoing, very extroverted, very life of the party, very loud, very boisterous. And their reasoning is, well, we're hoping that the more adventurous one brings out the adventure in the more quiet one. And we're hoping the quiet one calms down the more adventurous one. That's not going to happen. They're just going to clash. They're not going to bring out the best in one another. They're just going to clash. The one who wants to stay home every day is going to irritate the hell out of the person who wants to go out every night. They're going to get bored with the introvert. The introvert is going to be like annoyed with the extrovert. So I don't like it when they use that type of matchmaking skills. I think a lot of the times it's so much better just to match people who have a lot in common. But Lindy and Miguel, they're kind of like opposites. He's very quiet. She's very, boisterous. She's very out there. She's not boisterous in the sense of it being annoying, but when you compare her to him, she is the one who's a little bit more outspoken. So to me, this is sort of like red flag territory as far as how they are going to get along, how their personalities are going to mesh. Moving on from them, Alexis and Justin. Alexis is 29, Justin is 33. Alexis, throughout the entire episode, kept on bringing up how she has been proposed to 3 times. That's her lead in story. It seems like when she's at a cocktail party or if she's at a bar, that is something that's going to come up at some point during the night, that she was proposed to 3 times but never accepted. Therefore, she has never been engaged. So we hear this several times throughout the episode. She talks about how she was afraid of getting married. She hasn't had the best examples of successful marriages in her life. I think her parents divorced early on or something. No, her parents divorced when she turned 18. She's the youngest of three sisters. So when she turned 18, the parents called it quits and filed for divorce. I think throughout their upbringing, there were the parents were having conflict, but they decided to stay together until all the kids were grown. She was the last one, and when she turned 18, they filed for divorce. So she's been like very cold feet, very iffy about marriage, commitment, all of that. So they match her with Justin, and Justin is extremely tall. He's 6'8". She also talks about how she really wanted a very tall man, and he's definitely a very tall man. And they match her with Justin, who has been previously engaged. The engagement must have ended really bad, because we find out that after his engagement ended, and it ended like a month before the wedding, he ended up leaving the state. He was really devastated. So for him to go through this process of marrying a stranger, when he tells his brother that he got chosen or he got matched, his brother was not happy about it. His brother was not having it. And it was coming from a place of love and protection, because his brother doesn't want to see him hurt again. And his brother doesn't think that he's ready to get married, but Justin wants to jump in head first and try this out all over again. And also Justin has been celibate, I think for, I want to say, has it been for 5 years he's been celibate? He's been celibate for quite a while. And I don't remember what the reason was. I don't know if it was because of the whole engagement breaking up, or if it was for like a deeper reason. I'm not really sure, but he's definitely celibate. And I hope it's not because of low testosterone. I don't know what it is about Justin. I'm not quite sure what it is about him, but something about Justin makes me think of low testosterone. I don't know why. And I hope that's not the reason why he's celibate. So they match him with Alexis, so they both have these issues with commitment. Not, he doesn't have an issue with commitment. She has an issue with commitment. And he was, and that's kind of weird that they would match someone like, the runaway bride. They would match her with a guy who had a runaway bride. That's just really strange. And so, yeah, I don't like that either, that they would match people like that, in the sense of, she gets cold feet, she runs away from commitment, and he had a woman run away from marrying him from his commitment. So that's going to be interesting. Moving on to Kristen and Mitch. Kristen is 32. Mitch is 41. Kristen, I have no issue with her. No red flags with her, really. Mitch was the one that I was kind of worried about. Mitch seems to me like someone who is not fun. Someone who is not fun. I don't know how else to put it. He seems very, very serious. He's all about protecting the environment, and he takes it, I don't want to say way too seriously, because you can never take that too seriously, protecting our environment, but he's a little bit on the extreme side of it. He's the kind of person, like if he sees you littering, he's going to probably start shouting at you, like a male Karen or something. The words that are used to describe him by the people that know him, his brother and whoever the hell else, they call him a loudmouth. They say that he is rough around the edges, and that he has an inappropriate sense of humor. I think he said about himself, he has an inappropriate sense of humor. See, to me, those are red flags. Those are not quirky. Those are not interesting. Those are not attractive traits, to be loudmouth, rough around the edges, and inappropriate sense of humor. And then his whole personality, his whole demeanor is like very serious. Like he's a little bit uptight. Like he's someone who's very critical of others. That's how he comes across to me. So if you're not putting stuff in the right recycling bin, he's going to give you an earful. Moving on to Morgan and Ben. Morgan, super duper cute. I love her. She is half Japanese, half Caucasian, I think. She has traced her Japanese roots, or her family has traced their roots all the way to the samurai of Japan. Japan, there's like a shrine or some type of dedication to their family lineage in some town in Japan. So she's very connected with her ethnic side. She has a beautiful tattoo on her arm of like a samurai woman. So she's very connected with that part of her culture, which is really, really good. She's kind of like a really cute tomboy. She likes to do martial arts. She likes to play video games. She's very active. And oh, she's a great personality. I have no issue with Morgan. Now, there was a dark time in her life where I'm not sure exactly what was going on, but she was feeling, I guess she didn't use the word depressed, so I don't want to use that if she didn't use that word, but she was going through a difficult period in her life. She was gaining weight, not happy with herself, but she turned it around. She started working out, she lost the weight, and she started feeling really good about herself. And you can tell that she has a lot of confidence in who she is. So, Morgan gets 2 thumbs up for me. Refreshing. I love her personality. Now they match her with Ben. Now Ben is 29 years old, and he is. There's two ways to describe Ben: cheap and a mama's boy. Which to me, that is a recipe for absolute horror. He's cheap and he's a mama's boy. So he's very close to his mother, which is okay, whatever, but don't be so close to, don't let the relationship with your mother overshadow the relationship with your wife. Please, Ben, heed those words. Do not let the relationship with your mother overshadow or become the most important relationship compared to the relationship with your wife. And when I say cheap, I don't think there's a word invented to describe how frugal and how cheap Ben is. Now, he's hanging out with his boys when he tells them that he's been matched, and they start joking around about, wow, your wife better be ready because you're cheap as hell. And he talks about how these are some of the cheap things that he does. He talks about how he doesn't use the AC or the heater in his home. He'd rather open up a window. Are you kidding me? Well, they live in San Diego, so there's no issue as far as like in the winter times. The weather is probably pretty mild, but please turn on the AC. Please turn on the AC. You can afford it. Just do it. He coupons, which is fine. I think he said he doesn't do laundry during certain times of the day or something because he doesn't do laundry during peak times. Can you believe this? Have you ever heard of such a thing? He doesn't want to accumulate debt, and he doesn't want to go out every weekend. I don't know if he wants to go out ever. And he doesn't really want to travel because it costs too much to travel. Whereas Morgan, his soon-to-be wife, is looking forward to traveling and wants to travel to Japan. So I don't get it. First of all, they purposely pick someone. Why would you pick someone who is this cheap? Why? It's one thing to be frugal and to be, to be aware of your finances and to be very responsible with how you spend your money. That's one thing. It's another thing when you don't even want to turn on the AC. It's another thing when you're, figuring out peak times to do laundry. Or to avoid doing laundry. And this reminds me of Jose from the Houston episode. He was very tight with money, and it was a big issue with his wife. And it's like, okay, married at first sight, we get it. You don't find people to match. You just find characters for a show. So you're like, oh, we had a really cheap guy before and that caused a whole lot of drama with his marriage. So let's get even a cheaper guy to see even more drama. I get what y'all are trying to do. I understand the formula that y'all are using. But if these people who are matched, if they have any inclination or any desire for this to turn into a real marriage, married at first sight, you're garbage for doing that, for trying to pick people who have very toxic traits or pick people who have some very serious issues and then try to match them with someone who probably just wants to be in a relationship. Also, I've said this before and I will say it again. I have an issue with married at first sight matches people who are not even yet 30, because you're 27 and these people are 27 and 29 years old. Why are y'all on Married at First Sight? What is going on out there in the dating world that a 27-year-old cannot find a decent partner, a decent boyfriend / girlfriend, or whatever they're into? What the hell is going on in society where they can't find a decent person? You're only 27 years old. To me, married at first sight is kind of like the place of last resort to find a mate. Like the people who are 35 and up, who've been there, done that, and still can't find the right person. That's how I see married at first sight. But I understand that they can't choose people who are really that old, because the women at 35 are already at that age where, their biological clock is ticking. So who knows how that's going to work out. And so they try to pick women who are young, who are still in the time frame of having babies, the peak fertility time or whatever the hell, in case these people decide to have children. So they don't want to pick people who are too old as far as the women are concerned. So they're all, but it's like, why have you given up on finding someone at 27 years old that you have to go on married at first sight? Or maybe they just want to do something different. I don't know. But Ben and his cheap ways, I don't see how anybody's going to find that attractive. And I hope that his friends or his mama or somebody is going to talk to him and say, look, you're going to have a wife. It's not just going to be you. You're going to have to change your cheap ways. But it's really hard to change a cheapskate, because they think that what they're doing is the right thing by saving as much money as possible. Because in this society, this is what we are taught. Save, 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 nest egg, nest egg, nest egg, nest egg, invest, 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 invest. So for someone who's that cheap, it's really hard for them to change that and to want to spend a little more. Now, you can take someone who's an overspender, you can kind of bring them down a couple of notches and teach them some good financial, some money saving skills. But someone who's already at the bottom and who doesn't want to spend anything, and he thinks it's so funny, to get his girlfriend or his significant other a pair of socks for their birthday or their anniversary, he's at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to cheapness. There's no way for them to feel comfortable with spending money because they have this fear. Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with his parents living in a refugee camp when they met in the 70s, because he says his parents were in a refugee camp, I think in 1975 when they met. So I don't know if that type of upbringing with parents who were, in such a destitute situation, if that has a lot to do with him being the way he is now. But he's going to have to let go of that if he wants to have if he wants any hope of having a successful marriage. Moving on to Stasha and Nate. Stasha, I didn't care for her. Stasha to me came off as very fake. Okay, she wants to be the HBIC, the head bitch in charge. She thinks that she's, that bitch. She thinks that she's the boss lady. She thinks that, she's making power moves, and, she's climbing the corporate ladder. I felt like she was saying the things that she thinks a boss lady would say, but she's not really a boss lady. I don't doubt that she's got the finances to back up what she's saying, but I just don't think that her personality is really like that. Sometimes you can just be kind of bitchy, but you think that you're being like, oh, I'm the boss lady, I'm the HBIC. But girl, no. If you want to show that you are someone who is powerful, that you are important, that you know how to make moves, you know how to make money moves, you don't have to be a bitch all the time. So she thinks that she kind of wears that as a badge of honor, like just being very controlling and bossy, and she thinks that this is really doing something. And I don't like it. I didn't like her personality. I kind of think she just was laying it on too strong. This whole boss lady persona, it was a little bit too strong, and it was coming off as a little bit disingenuous to me. So she's 37 years old, so her clock is ticking, and she talks about that, how she wants to have children and blah 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 blah. She needs to hurry up and get this going because she wants to have kids. Nate is 34 years old. Now, Nate is an entrepreneur. Stasia is also an entrepreneur. She works in finance, but she also does real estate investment on the side. So she's kind of like, I guess, she has her own, I don't know, she's an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. So that's why they match them, which is good because that's what they have in common. That entrepreneurial spirit, as Pastor Cal called it, which is great. She mentioned to her friends, I think it was at the bachelorette party or something, she had mentioned something about how, she's used to dating thugs. Guys with tattoos, thugs. And I'm like, girl, if you want to present yourself as some type of female CEO, you're at the very top of the corporate ladder or whatever you're trying to do, why are you dating thugs? But that's her type. That's what she likes. And Nate is far from that, but he is a little bit, I don't want to say hippie-ish, but he is more of a free spirit than she is. Like he's the kind of guy, like I could imagine him working somewhere like at Google or Apple, somewhere where you can dress casually every single day. People are on their skateboards in the office, that kind of environment, that type of personality. So he's focused because he does well for himself. He says he's a day trader and he says that he's in sales. So he is focused as far as his career, but it seems like he also has like a very free spirit. You know what I mean? He's not very rigid. He's not a suit and tie kind of guy. So them two together, I feel like, and the only reason why I feel like this is because of the preview that they showed when they were getting hot and heavy in the shower. So I feel like with them, they're going to have like a lot of chemistry. And then I think the chemistry is going to fizzle out. And I have a feeling that he's going to be very annoyed with her before she becomes annoyed with him. But that's just my prediction, and I hope that I'm wrong. And like I said, I really don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I'm already going down that road. So there is a scene where they are all out on the beach. The guys are with the guys playing beach volleyball, and the girls are with the girls. Obviously, they're not all together because they can't see each other until their wedding day. So while they're playing beach volleyball, the guys go around and talk about how old they are. So Mitch, the uptight, boring environmentalist, he says that he is 41 years old, so he's obviously the oldest. Justin says that women only see him as a piece of meat because he's so tall. They think that he has that he's packing, that he's got certain assets that they're interested in. They want to see what it does. So he doesn't like that women only see him as a piece of meat. He wants to be taken seriously. And this is the reason why he was celibate, was because he says that, it came to a point in his life where it was just, the only thing he was doing was hooking up, going to bed with women. And there was nothing substantial. There was nothing deep. And so now he's through with all of that. And that's why he's celibate. So now he wants to have a more serious relationship. Now, Ben, our frugal guy, our cheapskate, he likes to give. He says he's a volunteer. He likes to, I don't know what, he was volunteering at a foster home, and he was helping the foster kids, learn about nutrition and learn about, being more active and all of that. So he likes to give and all of that good stuff. Miguel recited one of his poems, and it was so cringy because nobody knew what the hell he was talking about. The poem was good. It was really deep. I couldn't tell you what the hell it meant, but he knows how to put his words together. But the guys were looking at him like, we don't understand anything that you see. You might as well have said that poem in German. Now the girls, when they're together, Kristen says that a big red flag. Now Kristen is matched with Mitch, the guy who I feel like is just very uptight and like a just not fun. She's matched with him. So she says that a red flag for her is a man who is in his late 30s and has never been married. And she described her soon-to-be husband to a T. She says this is a red flag for her because it shows that he might have a fear of commitment. Mitch, 41 years old, never been married, never been in a serious relationship. So Kristen, have fun with that. Kristen also says that if she's not attracted to her guy, she's going to find something about him to keep her going. So maybe it's going to be his personality, or maybe it's going to be his sense of humor or something like that. But I don't know. If she's not physically attracted to Mitch, and if she doesn't really care about his his extreme fanatic environmentalist ways, I don't know what she's going to find attractive about Mitch. So hopefully she does find him attractive. Morgan, the one who is matched with cheapskate Ben, Morgan says that it is a deal breaker for her if her husband doesn't want to travel. Now this is problematic because Ben probably doesn't want to spend money on tickets to go travel anywhere, especially to go travel internationally. He probably sees it as a waste of money. So I don't know how she's going to convince him to go travel. Lindy, she's the one that is matched with very quiet, reserved, the poet Miguel. She says that she doesn't want a man with a passive personality because she's going to walk all over him. And to me, Miguel seems a little bit passive compared to her because she's a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more outspoken than he is. Now, at the bachelor party. I'm not sure what came first, the wedding dress shopping or the bachelor and bachelorette parties. But anyway, at the bachelor party, your boy Nate was acting up. He was acting a fool at the bachelor party. Number one, let's talk about Justin first. Justin at the bachelor party, there were strippers there doing what they do, and your boy Justin was not interested at all. So, like I said, I hope he doesn't have an issue with low testosterone, but maybe he's just saving up all that energy for his wife. But he wasn't interested. He didn't even want to look at the stripper. Nate, on the other hand, was the polar opposite of Justin. He was all up in them goodies. Nate was being a very bad boy. But this is what you do at bachelor parties, right? But some people might think it was kind of problematic how far he went. Now, he was like spanking the stripper. He was whipping her with a belt, whipping her butt with the belt or whatever he was doing. There was a scene where he tells the stripper to drop down on her knees, and she does. And then he takes his hand and places it behind her head. And as she's on her knees, he pulls her head in, and then he proceeds to pour whipped cream down her throat. So he was taking full advantage of this bachelor party. On the other side of town at the bachelorette party, Stasha says that one of her issues in her past, one of the mistakes that she made when it came to relationships was that she was trying to turn a thug into a husband. So she was very attracted to thugs. And then back at the bachelor party, Justin and his brother get into it because his brother is not feeling this whole married at first sight situation. He doesn't think that his brother should be doing this. He thinks this is absolutely wrong because he thinks that his brother is not ready to get married. And it's coming from that very over, like that protective big brother, the big brother in him that's being very overprotective of his younger brother because his brother was hurt very badly before, and so he doesn't want his brother hurt again. So he thinks his brother is not ready to jump into something like this, and so him and his brother get into like a little tiff. They start arguing because Justin is trying to tell his brother, look, I'm a grown man, I can do what I want, this is what I want to do, and if you can't respect that, then get on. So the brother was like, okay, I'm out, and he told Justin, you're acting like a little bitch, and he left the bachelor party. So that was really sad to see that his brother wasn't 100% supportive, but his brother was just coming from that point of view of like, you know what, I just want to protect you from getting hurt again. Now let's get into this wedding of Alexis and Justin. So first of all, when she goes wedding dress shopping, she picks she had no idea what she was choosing. She was completely clueless because she was proposed to 3 times, but she's never been engaged. So the whole thing about looking for a wedding dress completely foreign to her. She had no idea what to do. Her very first dress that she tried on was awful. It looked like a big old doily. She was covered up from her neck all the way down to the bottom of her feet. The sleeves were all the way to her wrist, and the whole thing was like in doily material. So that was a no-go. Her second choice was a little bit better. It was form-fitting. It was sexy. It was, it was cute. It was a nice dress. Moving on from there. So Justin, he's looking for a tuxedo, and his brother comes to help him look for a tuxedo, and the brother was still not feeling it. The brother said he was still very terrified about this whole process, and like I said, he's just being protective of his brother. So on the wedding day, let's just get to the actual ceremony. So on the wedding, oh, by the way, like I said, Alexis has 2 sisters. When the mother walked in while she was getting ready, the whole entire time she was trying to get ready, Alexis was really trying to hold it together. She didn't want to cry. But when her mother showed up, number one, her mother looked like the 4th sister. Her mom looked super young, really, really young. She looked like the 4th sister. Now, as soon as she saw her mom, Alexis just began to bawl. I mean, she was crying so hard when she saw her mom. All of those emotions that she was trying to hold together just came flooding out. So that's all I have to say about that. So when they get to the altar, first of all, when he saw her walking down the aisle, he was very impressed. He even said, oh my God, when he saw her for the very first time, because she looked very, very pretty. So they get to the altar, they exchange their vows. He's just like mesmerized by her beauty. He finds her so beautiful, so attractive. She notices how tall he is, and I'm like, okay, good. She wanted somebody really, really tall, and this guy's really, really, really tall. Well, when they get to that moment where after they exchange the vows and they go talk one-on-one, just the 2 of them, she mentions, not to him directly, but to the producers, she mentions that he is uncomfortably tall. And she has said she wanted a really tall guy. And she was like, the taller, the better. I just don't want to be too greedy. Like, the guy couldn't be tall enough for her. But then when she sees him, she says he was uncomfortably tall. And then she proceeds to tell us that he is not her type. So I'm thinking to myself, and I try to go back to past seasons, like, does it matter if the woman doesn't find the guy attractive, or if the man doesn't find the woman? Like, is there a difference between whether it's the guy or the woman that doesn't find their mate attractive? For example, if the guy doesn't find a girl attractive, is he still willing to, like, still be physical with her, still be romantic with her, even though he doesn't find her attractive? Or is it more likely that if the woman doesn't find her mate attractive, that she's most likely to kind of keep her distance, or is it all the same? Because I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, maybe she doesn't find him attractive physically, but I think he has a really great personality. I think his personality is great, and I think that the wedding vows were beautiful. Um, I don't know, but she was like, yeah, he's not really my type and he's uncomfortably tall. So I don't know. And in this season, I think this is probably the first time that they've done this. They're not giving each other just the wedding bands. They're actually doing the full set because they're trying to promote this jewelry company that they're sponsored by, James Allen. So they're doing the full set. And so when she first saw the ring, when she was getting ready with her sisters and her friends, she, like, they all screamed out because it was a very beautiful ring. But anyways, besides that, I don't know. Maybe he will overwhelm her, or maybe he will change her mind by his personality. Yeah, maybe that's, hopefully he'll do that. I don't know. I really don't know. But I was kind of disappointed that she said he was uncomfortably tall when all she wanted was a really tall guy, and he's like 6'7" or 6'8". And I'm thinking to myself, if you were attracted to him, would his height still be uncomfortable to you? That's the question. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me in this review. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.